Hey guys, so I wanted to do a little bit of a different kind of video series. I know I usually do harmony tutorials and stuff like that, but I have just had a desire on my heart, and I've just seen even the need in my church for instrumentalists. And so I have just been kind of, teaching a few people on my team acoustic guitar, and I've just thought that it would be something that would be helpful for other people, hopefully. When I first learned acoustic guitar, I had a teacher who was showing me all the right and formal ways of playing chords, and they were showing me bar chords and everything like that, but I wasn't catching on quick enough, and I was getting frustrated and discouraged because just in the nature of our team, if I was going to play, I needed to catch on pretty quickly because we play in different keys, and just the way that we do things, I was going to need to catch on pretty quickly. I couldn't just pick and choose the songs that I was going to play and not play and stuff like that. So I had another teacher show me some cheat ways and some easier ways to play certain chords and keys, and it changed my life, and I just thought that it would be a great way to get people started. So if you are a legit guitar player, or if you're a music teacher or a music education major or whatever it is, please don't hate on me. I understand that these are not the right ways to play some of these chords and in some of these keys. I get it. I'm not trying to be insulting to the instrument. I'm not trying to tell people that this is the end-all be-all, because I would encourage you too that once you get comfortable with this stuff, then start to learn the right ways and start to learn bar chords and start to learn all of the, music theory and all of this stuff. But I just thought that it would be helpful to get people started, because I think that if you can get people started and they get the confidence to keep moving, then they will do it. But if you're discouraged right from the beginning, it's going to be a lot harder to get going. So all of that to say, I think that at least what I have found, if you learn how to use a capo, this becomes your best friend. If you learn the theory behind a capo, you can play basically any song, any key, using 3 different keys, of actually learning the chords in 3 different keys: the key of G, the key of C, and the key of E. And then if you use the capo, you can play any song in any of those keys. Again, I would encourage you someday maybe learn some of those flat chords or sharp chords, but I think that using the capo, you can learn 3 keys and play anything. And especially in worship music, and especially for most of the audience here who are vocalists, acoustic guitar is very simple to play and sing at the same time. So I think that it's very applicable for worship leaders. So I am going to show you all of that. That was a big intro for it, but this video specifically, I want to show you the first key, which is the key of G. I think it's the easiest one to play. I had a Bellatrix. The easiest one to play. And so I want to show you the chords in that key, mostly the chords in that key, and then kind of just show you how I do them. So I think the number one thing that I look for in playing in any key are what I call anchor points. Basically, if there's a place where a finger or 2 fingers can live forever, and then it's easier to move just the other 2 fingers or whatever, it'll help. An anchor point will help you find things better without looking, because then you won't have to guess on the spacing as much. So for G, my anchor points are my ring and pinky finger, and they will be on the B and E string, so the bottom 2 strings, the highest strings, in the 3rd fret. So I'm putting my ring finger 3rd fret on the B string, and my pinky finger down on the E string in that same 3rd fret. So you're getting these 2 notes all the time. So then what only changes in this key then is these 2 fingers, where they're going, okay? And they all are staying in these 2 frets here, in the 2nd fret and the 3rd fret, and it makes it so easy. Now I should preface also that I'm mainly doing the 1, 4, 5, 6, right? Okay, that's mostly what's in worship music specifically. Usually it's going to be the 1, 4, 5, 6. If there are other chords in that, I'll show you some of the other ones if you happen to run into that. But so in the key of G, I'm going to show you G, C, D, E minor, sometimes A minor. Okay, so but basically these two strings down here where my pinky and ring finger are stay the whole time. So then with G, you're doing the same or a similar shape to what a normal G would be, just with these two fingers. So I'm going to say the pointer finger is on the A string on the 2nd fret, okay, and then your middle finger is going to be on the low E string on the 3rd fret. Okay, so you're creating like a normal G is like this. Okay, it's just without that B string anchor point. But for the sake of this key specifically and learning like a very easy way to play it, I'm going to keep these two fingers down here. So this is what a G would sound like that. So then C would be taking these two fingers and just moving them down one, both of them, okay? So now my pointer finger is on the D string on the 2nd fret, and my ring finger is on the A string on the 3rd fret, okay? So you just took your G and moved both fingers, well, down, but like up in notes. Down one string for both of them. So that's a C, okay? So when you're going from G to C, like in Build My Life, worthy of every song we could ever sing. Okay, so you're just moving these two fingers back and forth. So that makes it really easy. So now with E minor, it's a normal E minor. You're just keeping these two fingers. So an E minor is your pointer finger is on the A string, so the 2nd string down on the 2nd fret, and then your middle finger is right beside it on the D string in the 2nd fret also. So they're both in that 2nd fret. They're just right next to each other, and then you're keeping these two fingers down here. And so a normal E minor is just without these two fingers. It's very dark sounding, but if you keep these two fingers down here, it sounds like this. Sorry. So it's like a little less dark, but it still has that minor in it. So then if you're going from G again to C, then you can go to E minor. So that's the E minor there. So then the only other like major, I shouldn't say major, but the only other like really important chord in the key of G is D. So there's two ways that you can play the key of D by keeping these anchor points down here. You can just add your middle finger to the G string on the 2nd fret. Yeah, on the 2nd fret. So you could just do this, but I like to add the bass note, okay? So I'm doing my middle finger on the G string on the 2nd fret, just like I said, but then I'm also on the 2nd fret putting my pointer finger on the low E string on that 2nd fret. So you're basically just creating like the chord with the bass note, with those anchor points still there. Okay, so that's like G, C, D, E minor. Okay, so a good example of these chords would be like, okay, so Build My Life is like a really easy song, but then there's also one I'm thinking of like No Longer Slaves, for example. So that key in reality is in B flat, so I would have to capo 3 and play in G, but for the sake of just showing you, it's kind of like I'm no longer D to G, and then I'm going to the E minor, for I am a child, D to G. Alright, so that's like a good example of a song that you would use all 4 of those chords. The only other one that you might see in the key of G, not very often, but is A minor. So that would be the 2. That would be the 2 minor if you're doing the number system. And basically, like, so how I would play an A minor in this key is the same as the E minor, just string down for each finger. So I'm putting my middle finger on the G string on the 2nd fret, and then I'm putting my pointer finger also in the 2nd fret on the D string. So it kind of sounds a little weird, like it's not perfect. Obviously with these anchor points it kind of changes the sound of all of the chords, but a good example of this would be something like Alive in You by Jesus Culture. So if they, you know, if you're in that, it'd be like, G, A minor, E minor, C, G. Okay, so that's like a good one where you can hear the A minor kind of pass into the E minor. So again, it sounds a little bit different, but this is like such an easy way to play the key of G, because basically, like, if you keep these the whole time, you know exactly where your fingers go and you don't have to look. Okay? And yeah, it is hard because, especially with, you can hear even as my fingers get tired, like, you can hear that it's kind of like muting them a little bit, so you have to make sure that you're pressing down on them hard enough, that you're getting the clean sound of all of the notes, and you're not missing anything or muting anything. But okay, so that is how I play in the key of G. So then just go back, and the key to this, guys, is that it's actually not like super helpful if I sit here and play it with you the whole time. The key to this is that you will have to take the time to practice. You will have to look up lead sheets, and look up chords and look up where they change. For my team specifically, we're subscribed to Worship Online, so I would just start looking up some of the songs that we do and looking at songs in the key of G, and then just playing along with them. And Worship Online and some other resources online will have the chords over the word that it changes and stuff, so that would really help you with being able to figure out where the chords actually change. But just really take that and just like spend some time just like strumming like this, just like quarter notes, and going through the different chords that I just showed you. Okay, and then I would say, yeah, I think the 2 easiest songs to practice would be Build My Life and No Longer Slaves. And if you want to try it in the regular key, you would have to capo 3 and play in G for No Longer Slaves. But those are 2 that are also like very easy rhythmically to play, like strumming wise, especially No Longer Slaves. Most of the time it's like, you know, you're just kind of strumming like that. So if you struggle with rhythm right away, I would start with that and start with the key of G. This is very simple, and I think the easiest one to play. So take some time, practice those chords, go back and look at them if you have to, and then just look up some lead sheets and start practicing some songs in the key of G. Thanks, guys.